This week on the Austin Healey channel, the steering wheel gets a turn. Hi, welcome back to the shop. I'm certainly glad to be here. My back decided to give me a little vacation, impromptu, but it's doing better, but it's on the mend, so I have to adjust what I'm going to do, what I can do. So we're going to take a step away from the bodywork for a while, and we're going to focus on one thing that I can work on the bench. So you know what that is? It's the steering wheel. There's a big crack right here. There's a big area somewhere right here where it's been scraped down. More cracks, especially around here, well, around where all the joints are. I guess this plastic after years of use shrinks and cracks. So we're going to try to repair all of that and patch it up and paint it. So to do that, we have a couple things. What do you use to patch plastic? Okay, so there's this great blog, I don't know if you know it, but it's a Detail Enthusiast. It's by Jeff Chrysler. Very, very detailed work, very high level, concourse style stuff. So shout out to Jeff. Anyway, he details working on his steering wheel, and he patched it with JB Weld epoxy that you knead together, and he stuffed that in there and sanded down. I unfortunately can't get that in where I live, but I did find this, which in the automotive section of the hardware store, it's a Mastic Special Plastique, which translates to Mastic Special Plastic. It's Bondo for plastic. Typically this would be used on like a bumper of a modern car that's, you know, all plastic and stuff. So we're going to use that. Hopefully it will stick well to the plastic of this whole steering wheel. I also found this primaire adhesive plastique. It says plastic in it, right? So this is a special paint primer which will adhere better to plastics. So when we paint it, the paint won't just slough off. Other things we're going to do, we're going to notch into the cracks, so there's a good tooth for this adhesive, for this Bondo to adhere to, and then we're going to sand it all down so the plastic has a nice tooth for the paint to adhere to. Looks a lot worse now. I don't know why, but it does. You can see all the cracks a lot easier. Anyway, I think it's still doable. So let's get doing. Trafficator that came with this, it's not in great shape. It's also the wrong one. This is for 106. It has a little 6 dot in there. It's also cracked along here, well, cracked, chipped along here and here as well. But I thought, well, since I haven't been able to find one yet, I thought we could try to convert this to look as close to the the right Trafficator as possible. There are some differences between the later models and the BN ones. This ring is supposed to be slightly different. This is supposed to be a solid black instead of transparent with an emblem inside. And this, the actual switch, is black and more beak shaped. Anyway, I thought we'd take it apart, clean it up, see if we can patch the cracks, and go from there. It's been a long time since I've been in one of these, so let's see if I can remember what goes where. Yeah, if you're taking one of these apart in the car, these screws in here go all the way down inside to a nut, so turning them is not going to help you take it off. And this one. That whole thing can come off. And that went to the brown wire. If you're taking one of these apart, I'm filming it, right, for you guys. But if you're taking something like this apart, it might be a good idea to grab your phone or camera and record it, because then you'll see how it came apart and how it can go back together. Okay, I'm going to take these screws off. I'm going to clean up this brass so it can do its job better. It grounds. It's a grounding thing. Right. Now we got that all apart. And this can come off. It's actually a lot cleaner than the Season 1. Some interesting things to point out. These are the when it returns, these trigger it to snap back to the middle, and the direction of those is very important. You can also put them in this way, but it doesn't work. So they have to be that way. You have this nice springy thingy. It has springs and two little washer things. It's all kind of gummy because it's supposed to be greasy, and the grease is old. And then you have your contact points here that go to the back to the wires. So this is the switch. It's on the other side. You have this little brass piece here with a spring underneath it, and in here you have a little ball thing with a spring on it as well. And it's supposed to rotate, but this one's all stuck in place and gross. So that's one of the things we're going to have to clean up. And if you want to replace this, there's just a screw here that comes out. So that's all the parts and pieces and stuff. This is really what we wanted to get down to. Now we can start cleaning it up and see if we can patch these cracks. Because there's a big chip here, we could just start stacking up Bondo, well, with special plastic Bondo on that, but it kind of needs something to hold this outside form, at least to get the most of the shape. To do that, we're simply going to use some tape, good old duct tape. There, now this will give this Bondo something to hold on to and to make it easier to build up as we go. Maybe I'll put a little piece over here as well. That's not going to give it the perfect form because, you know, this is flexible, but it'll give us a good start. We're not going to get this in one go anyway. That gives us a pretty good start. What I'm going to do, I'm going to paint over this in black so it looks more like the what should be on this car. And in a way I feel bad about that because, you know, this is an original 106 piece, but it's really scratched up. There's a crack down in here, so I feel at least it's going back on a car. That's how I feel. I got this really cool pattern going on the button after I painted it. It appears to be silicone contamination. The outer ring had the same thing, so I had to sand it back down and clean it off with silicone remover, and looks like this got it as well. Luckily it doesn't appear to be on the steering wheel itself, just the centerpiece. So now we have all the pieces ready to go back together. I've done a little bit off camera, so you wouldn't have to sit through boring stuff. I've added the wiring harness to this back plate, and I have this little brass retainer ring on there, just for now. The reason I did this now is these contact points, if you do it later, they can fall out and cause a problem. So to assemble things, we're going to start with the lever. I swear I had bought a new lever that matches the BN1 style. It's one of the few components for this that you can still buy, but I can't find it anywhere, so we're going to just put this back in for now. To start the assembly, we have this little wheel and spring that go in here. It's been greased already, so everything moves nice and easily. And then in this hole goes the spring, and on top of that is this brass piece. This is all going to go on here. It goes through there. And this whole thing goes up into here. It helps if you turn it sideways a little bit and you kind of push up on the wheel until it all snaps into place. And then you can work on getting these springs in place. Like that. Then you have these, which have also been cleaned and greased. They go down here We're gonna add a little bit of grease just to this point in here so that everything can spin easily. Like that. With this in place, we're going to insert the short screw through here, and it ends up down here with a washer and a nut. And that's going to hold everything in place while we get everything else set up. Next, the horn button goes on, and the two long screws, the two long bolts go through it. One is going to be grounded while it goes onto the brass ring with a washer and a nut. On the other side gets a washer and the wire, and then it gets a nut. Check that everything's tight. Looking good. Now we can go ahead and put the horn button on. The spring will go in here, and it should fit tight enough that it'll stay in place. There we go. And there's a gap here and an indent here that lines up with the notch here. This is actually only on the later model cars because they have logos. You got to keep your logo lined up right. Beep beep. Okay, so now that's all assembled. We can take the wire and feed it down the tube. You see that the bullets on the wires are in order, and this keeps the profile very small, so you can actually feed it down the wire, down the tube. You'll see here this brass ring is going to need to contact here. I'd started. I need to finish scraping off the paint that I put on there. This might have originally been chrome, or not chrome, but zinc plated. But you want to make sure you get some contact there. Otherwise, your ground's not going to work. If your grounds doesn't work, then you might have a problem with your horn. That should give us enough. So now we can take our wires, feed them down. So these funny feet that stick out at the bottom, here and here, I didn't explain what they do. When you turn the turn signal, they stick out, and then when your steering wheel returns, it trips that and it pushes it back to center, and then your turn signals go off. So it's all assembled and looking rather nice, so now we can put it back in the car. So to insert this, I've pulled the wires back up. So I have it off like this. This is going to go all the way down through the steering box, which is full of grease, and then it has to hit a little hole at the end and go through, And so we're going to slide it down in there and then pull the wires through, and then we're going to have to back it out enough to screw this back on. That's the plan. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how we're doing at the other end. Down here, it's knocked the cap off the plug off the end, and it's made a mess. So down on this end, we're going to clean everything up. And we have this special thing, which is called an olive. I'm going to feed that up the wires. And it's going to go over here. And then this nut will also go up the wires. And that olive is a compression fitting. So once we get it up there, and we start screwing it down, it will make a tight fit, and the oil should not come out, or the grease. And before we tighten this down, we need to check one more time that the everything's lined up on the steering wheel, because when we tighten this down, that sets the position.
If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.